Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to have you all join us today for the August edition of Health Bytes with Region 3. So I'm very excited today to announce this month's speaker, Dr. Noyori-Corbett. Dr. Noyori-Corbett is the Associate Director of Research at the Ann and Henry Zarrow School of Social Work at the University of Oklahoma. She is the founder of OU's Humanitarian Innovation Research Group, also known as the HIRG. It's an organization that brings awareness to refugee and integration issues in the United States. So the HIRG is an affiliate of OU's Institute for Community and Society Transformation. So with members of the HIRG, Dr. Noyori-Corbett received a prestigious federal grant from the Institute of Museum and Library Services to investigate refugee services in public libraries. So she started working with refugee populations 18 years ago in Dallas, Texas, where she was once a program coordinator for refugee youth programs. She's received several grants from OU for her strong network within the refugee community and her community-based participatory research with Myanmar women refugees, including two junior faculty fellowships and humanities forum fellowships. So most of her works are related to people who are displaced globally, including immigrants, refugees, and human trafficking victims. Her work contributed significant implications for better practices and policies to assist globally displaced populations. In today's Health Bytes, our speakers are going to be giving a presentation on participatory community building with Myanmar refugee women in Dallas, Texas. So thank you so much for being our guest speaker this morning, and I'm going to turn it all over to you.
Thank you so much. Can I share my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see the screen now?
Yes, you're good.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you so much for having me here at Health Bytes by National Library of Medicine. My name is Chie Noyori-Corbett. I am the Associate Director of Research at University of Oklahoma and at Henry Zarrow School of Social Work, and also Dodge Family College of Arts and Sciences. Today, I would like to introduce my research, participatory community research with Myanmar refugee women in Dallas, Texas. I have been working with refugees for about close to 20 years, both as a researcher and a practitioner. And when I was a practitioner in Dallas, I witnessed very unique challenges this particular specific group of refugees from Myanmar facing. And I always wanted to know why it was more difficult for this group to resettle in this country. So when I became a researcher, that was the first thing I wanted to do. So in the year of 2014, I started this long-term research, participatory community research in 2014. Okay. So today, I would like to start with the reason and what I wanted to do with this research almost 9 or 8 years ago, and what have been the research problem that really made me start this program for this research project. And I also like to talk about historical context of the Myanmar, why these people left their countries, what happened to them in Myanmar. Also, what are the challenges of these Myanmar refugees in Texas, Dallas, Texas. Also, I would like to introduce my research design and research strategies in 6 different stages. Okay. Okay. For the first time when I started to design this research, I really wanted to collaborate with this Myanmar refugee women throughout my research. That was the reason I picked this design of community participatory action research. Participatory here means that I needed to involve refugee participants from the early stage of the project. And action here means to bring, at the end, I wanted to bring some kind of product based on the data we collected in the community. This product back to this community, exact community we collected the data from. By doing this, I knew we would be able to empower these participants. And also we wanted to advance a refugee-centered conceptualization of resettlement process. Not really the stakeholder-centered conceptualization, means policymakers, service providers' perspectives. And also I wanted to design a refugee-centered resettlement assistance to support this Myanmar refugee women, especially with the culturally competent method. Okay. So the research problem I had is not only based on my experience as a practitioner in Dallas, but also based on some literature review. And I found out that most of the research done with the refugees are based on needs assessment, not really focusing on the strength of the refugees. And we need to have some assessment of strength, assets, or resources of refugees. I witnessed these people being so resilient. This was a problem. And when we conceptualize the resettlement process, I also realized that oftentimes refugees were excluded from the process. Okay, so as a result, refugees are more discouraged and disempowered to become self-sufficient. We also realized that lack of research in the past examining the implementation of the services. Existing research shows only the roles of stakeholders in this process, not the participants, not the refugees' roles in the community. And we believe that refugees can contribute a lot in their own community. Okay, so if we only focus on needs assessment, needs sound more like burden. So these people are perceived as burden of this community. So one of the problem I mentioned earlier was the inappropriate conceptualization of the refugee construct of the refugee resettlement. And I think I've done this. Okay, finish this. I'm sorry. So what kind of expectations we have in this country for newly arrived refugees? And what are the services now they're receiving in the United States? And basically, these people are supposed to become independent, self-sufficient within 6 or 8 months. Means that they have to speak English well. At least one member of the household should have a job. They send all the children to school, and they should understand the systems in their community, which is very impossible to achieve. They can have some services for up until 5 years, such as case management, vocational training. However, the cash assistance will be terminated at the 8th month of their arrival. Means this cash assistance can help them pay rent, monthly rent, and also everyday expenses. So after 8 months, they really need to have some kind of financial resource for their family. Again, it sounds very impossible to do this. So a few years after I started this project, I realized that this is really not the job only I or only social work scholars can do. As refugee resettlement process is so multidimensional. And I always wanted to develop more holistic and sustainable refugee resettlement model. I started to ask my colleagues from other colleges and departments at OU to work on this problem. So I have now, this group is called OU Humanitarian Innovation Research Group. We have faculty members from the School of Library and Information Studies, College of Architecture, College of Business, Mathematics, Communication. All these people working in this group. Often we work separately. We have multiple subgroups working on one or two dimensions of this multidimensional model. And one of these subgroups are the ones trying to investigate the public library services for refugees right now. This is the project led by Dr. June Abbas. She is the head of the School of Library and Information Service at OU. And we also have Dr. Ruin from College of Education. So this is a pretty much transdisciplinary research team to understand the public library services for refugees. We were able to receive this prestigious research grant from Institute of Museum and Library. And we just started the second year of this project. We have been conducting the survey, also focus groups. We will be conducting focus group with the refugee participants as well. Okay, so this is one dimension of the multidimensional refugee resettlement model investigation. Okay, so why Texas? When I started this project in 2014, not because I was a practitioner in Texas, in Dallas, Texas, but also Texas is one of the top refugee destination states. The number decreased a lot around 2016 when the number of refugees we accept in this country went down because of the travel ban. But it's increasing back again. Texas has been always one of the top refugee destination states. And Dallas County is the second most popular resettlement area in the year of 2012. And last few years, it's been the 11th. And still it is a popular area, county for refugees to resettle. Among these refugees in 2022, the largest group of the refugees are from Congo. Next one is Myanmar, then Afghanistan. Okay, so why these people left the country Myanmar? Why did they have to come to the United States? Refugees are different from immigrants, and they really are forced to leave the country. They did not want to leave the country. And even if they want to go back, they cannot go back to their country for many different reasons. So in Myanmar, there are 135 ethnic groups. Majority is Burman or Burmese. This is actually the group controlling this country. And the Myanmar military groups, most of them are Burmans. And others are all ethnic minorities. And 88% of the people in Myanmar are Buddhist. So Christians and Muslims are the minority. And these are the kind of reasons, one of the reasons that these people, minority people, both religious and ethnic minority people, have been discriminated in their country. And people always are surprised with the number of the ethnic groups in Myanmar, but this is basically because of the fact that this country is being colonized and occupied by so many different countries. That causes all the divides in this country. It's being colonized by Japan and England, many other countries. Those are the reasons these people left Myanmar. So many of them left this country in the history. And not only the discrimination in everyday life, but we have witnessed many human rights violations against these ethnic and religious minorities in Myanmar. To be destruction and burning of villages, that's a typical one. Human trafficking, children are trafficked and they're forced to become soldiers. Also the people used as human shields, many different kinds of sexual violence, torture, murder. These are the direct reasons why they had to leave their country. Okay. So the research site in Dallas, there's an area called Vickery, Meadow in Dallas. It's also known as the United Nations of Dallas. There are many articles about this area if you look for it on the internet. And this is where I collected the data. This is exactly where I used to work as a social worker too. And once you walk into this area, you feel like you're the foreigner in this area. That's the reason it's called the United Nations of Dallas. And the reason why there are many refugees here is mainly because the many refugee resettlement agencies around this area. Okay. So this is the research design. I talked about this participatory action research, the meaning of participatory in action. But also this is a social research and development. With the data we obtain from social research, we want to see the social development in the area we collect the data. So with the participatory action research, we have needs and asset assessment, or I would say strength assessment. We have some forums and also workshops, and I will explain each step after this. The first stage was all about fact findings. We did both needs and asset assessment. We had 4 focus groups, 50 individual face-to-face interviews, 171 surveys. It sounds like a typical community participatory research. However, it took very long time, especially for surveys. People would think, well, why not doing the online survey or emailing the survey link? But these people actually did not have any opportunities to get education back in their country, and even in the transit countries. So many of them cannot read and write in their own language. And to increase the validity of the findings, we had to have the surveys in person with the translator and cultural liaison. After the this is the result from the fact findings. We find out that those Myanmar people in Texas, mainly they belong to Chie, Karen, and Karenni ethnic group. Chie people from Chie state, which is located on the west side of Myanmar. Karen and Karenni people are from Karen state, which is located on the east side of Myanmar. Okay. And most of them are persecuted because they are Christians. They're not Burmese or Burman. The most recent arrival and the most persecuted group is called Rohingya. Some of you might have heard of this group, but we have so many Rohingya people coming to the States right now. They are very different from other refugees because they are also stateless people, both in Myanmar and Bangladesh. They're originally from Myanmar, but they had to leave their country, cross the border to Bangladesh. There's one of the world's largest refugee camp in Bangladesh. So that was the reason these people moved to Bangladesh. And we also find out that these people from different ethnic groups, they're willing to work with each other. And we did not see any conflicts among them. And they wanted to work with each other. And it was easier because their common language was Burmese. Because when they went to school, some of them went to school, the education was done in Burmese, not in their own ethnic language. Okay. So this is one of the interesting findings we had that depends on the pathway to United States. The difficulties they're facing in the United States are different. The ones came through Thailand, usually the ones from Karen State, which is located on the east side of Myanmar, so they can cross the border to Thailand on foot. And there are 9 refugee camps in Thailand. They all know this. So they will go to one of those 9 refugee camps. Once they arrive in refugee camps, the average years they spend in the camp is 10 to 15 years, very long. So let's say if you are 10 years old, then when you arrive, and when you leave there and move to the United States, you will be already 25. The problem is in the refugee camp settings, they cannot receive appropriate and enough education. And if you're 10 years old when you got into this refugee camp, literally they cannot have any proper education. That's another reason they cannot read and write in their own language. So they face more problems in the United States. It's harder for them to learn English. And because they were in the refugee camp, they're not allowed to work. So they never received any vocational training, so any working experience in refugee camps. On the other hand, the ones came through Malaysia. These are the ones across the sea from west side of the Myanmar. And they crossed the sea to Malaysia. Once they arrive in Malaysia, they are recognized as undocumented immigrants because Malaysia is not a signatory nation of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. So because of that, actually, ironically, they can get a job as undocumented immigrants, and they can receive some vocational training by NGOs. The kids can go to school, but they always have to worry about being arrested and deported back to the country. That's the difference from the people from Thailand. If you're in a refugee camp, you do not have to worry about this safety. So the difficulties they face in the United States are very different. And this is the diagram showing some needs they described. One of the several needs they described was most of the women talked about hopes for their children. Most of them told us that they really do not have any hopes for themselves anymore. They feel like they're done, but they have hopes for their children become successful in the United States. They want to have financial stability for that, but they really mothers cannot have full-time job. Once they have more income, they will lose the Medicaid for children. Okay. So one more important findings of their needs was the English ESL classes, ESL services, English as second language services. They all ask for bilingual instructors, bilingual textbook. Again, these people were not educated back in their country or transit countries. And it's very difficult to have only English-speaking instructors to teach them English. So they were asking to have these bilingual instructors. Okay, the next slide. So now the strength. And this is a very important part of this research because this was something missing in the research in the past. So these all women are very bonded, very close with each other. They would like to help each other. Support among these Myanmar women are very, very strong. And I would say this is due to probably it is more of the result of the trauma bonding. They know they have to help each other. They kept talking about their first priority, that they told us the first priority is their children's education. They are willing to learn from Americans. but they want to keep their identity as Myanmar women. Okay, some of them, especially the ones came through Malaysia, they gained some skills and knowledge, and they actually, some of them started their own business in Dallas. These are the strengths we were able to learn from this population. So this is one example of their business. One of these participants learned how to use sewing machine in Malaysia, and she's been making Burmese traditional dresses at home and selling them online. And actually, she has now 2 assistants for Myanmar women helping her. So her business is expanding. Very beautiful dresses they make. So after this fact-finding stage, we wanted to have a forum. We wanted to share the result with this 50 participants. We also want to develop conceptual prototype of the services, what kind of services they really, really want for them. So we shared the results, but also we had some discussions among the participants. And the result from the forum shows that this participant needed some place that they can share. They need some shared space among the Myanmar women, and they want to co-locate employment and childcare, English classes, and other resources. Some women talked about they want to have a kitchen that they can share to cook together, eat together. They needed some shared space for themselves. Myanmar women needs to be recognized in the community. Oftentimes these Myanmar women are very quiet and less assertive. It's very difficult for them to raise their voices because of their culture. But most of them told us they really need to be recognized in the community. They don't want to hide. They want to have this community center, or they also say shared space in their own community. They do not want to be the ones to only receive the services. The relationship with American people should be a reciprocal ones. That's what they wish for. They said they really do not want to become American. They really want to keep cultural identification. Okay. So next 3 stages, we moved on to this different stage of prototype of the services they need. And we had some workshops. We have 6 workshops. Each group had 10 participants. We had 1 forum again after the workshops, and we had 3 exhibitions. This is the stage we wanted to have visual prototype, not conceptual, visual prototype of the services they need. To do that, we wanted to have workshop with cultural liaison, who is interpreter, also the artist who could draw some pictures of what these women are discussing in the workshop. Again, I want you to remember these women, most of them cannot read and write in their own language. So we wanted to have more visual prototype. So we were able to find this artist from Myanmar, very young Myanmar artist. She's actually Karen. And I would share all the results from these 3 stages. Again, this is the picture of the workshop. The center is my colleague from, now he is the head of the School of Social Work in Alaska, Dr. Moxley. And also we have cultural liaison explaining the project. And also you see the current artist drawing on the paper on the wall. So in every workshop, we were able to have some space from library in Dallas. And on the wall, we put this paper. And in each workshop, this artist drew quickly what these women are talking in terms of the services they need. And we kept these drawings, we still have them, but this shows also, it was shared with the participants themselves, so they could correct if this artist or we made mistake on this paper. Okay. So after the workshop, each workshop, we asked this artist to create this artwork, at least one or two for each workshop, which shows the symbol, which shows what these participants talked about in the workshop, symbolizes some discussions of these women in the workshop. This picture here on this slide is the self-portrait of this Korean artist, very young lady. Now she received a college degree and actually became a social worker and helping refugees. So I will share 4 different artworks by this artist from 4 different workshops, and I will read all the narratives of this or interpretation of the artwork. Okay, the first piece. This is titled Women and Child. And for this artist, the color scheme she uses in the painting are strategic. She uses them to communicate the kinds of feelings within this workshop that the women were expressing. The colors are warm ones, and the dominance of the image of the women reflects how the community center will be under control of the women themselves as they build mutual support for successful resettlement. The various values of yellow reflect positivity. The community center will offer multiple opportunities for the twofold mission of the center. What are these twofold dimensions? First, the community center will help women become Myanmar Americans. And the second, the community center will help children preserve their identities steeped in Myanmar culture. The other image of mother and a child expresses the importance of children within Myanmar culture and family life. So the community center is about opportunities for women, children, and families, but it should keep the family as its principal focus. The color blue represents this artist's emphasis in her interpretation of a wide ocean and expanse Myanmar refugee families needed to navigate in their journey to the United States. This ocean is metaphoric of the journey of resettlement itself. It is a long journey, and the community center can support the process inherent in the journey itself. So this is the one artwork titled Women and Child. I'll move on to the next one. Next one is titled Parent and Child. In this workshop, the women talked of the relationships with the children and as parents and mothers with the children as parents and mothers. The image of the mother and child is central in this artist's representation of the ideas flowing from the workshop, revealing the centrality of children within Myanmar culture. The flowers stand out within this diet, and the flowers dominate the background of this painting. The talk among the women in this workshop was about children and potential job opportunities as well. Flowers offer opportunities for salon, for propagation within the community center, and for small business involving the sale of various flowers. Through the use of the color green, this artist connects plants with the shirt of the woman, who is a central image within the painting. The expression of the mother and the child are positive as they look for a future full of possibilities. This child is a member of the 2.0 generation. The members who were born here in the United States during the resettlement and transition. For this artist, the flowers indicate growth, and so those images are appropriate as a metaphor for the growth of children in their newly adopted country. Note that apple located bottom left. Next piece. This one is titled Happy. The artist is capturing the ideas flowing from one of the project's early workshops with Myanmar women who have resettled with their families in Vickery, Meadow. The painting is based on realism in which a young child has many possibilities. Again, the child is one of the 2.0 generation, was born here in the United States. He plays in a field of open possibilities and faces a positive future in which the dreamland of the United States open many options for him. Candies and chocolates capture childlike feelings. The boy's countenance expresses a hint of seriousness, but his toys serve as props in the fantasy world he is creating. There's time to play, to fantasize, and to create. For this artist, the black, white, and white color scheme accentuates the focal point of the drawing. The boy who is creating stands at the center of the artwork. What does this mean for the community center, the shared space? Possibilities for children, play, creativity, and a safe childhood. Those are the themes the participants identified as meaningful that the community center can embody. The final piece. This one is titled Driving About Town. In this workshop, the participants spoke of the importance of physical mobility, which within American culture oftentimes involve automobiles. The participants in this workshop spoke of the importance of learning to drive. And this artist captured these desires in this painting entitled Driving About Town. Both mother and daughter shine with excitement and enthusiasm. They truly appear to be having fun. Driving together symbolizes the bond between Myanmar women and their children. The participants spoke of being helpful to their children, and through driving, they could get their children to destinations that were meaningful to their development. For example, school, after-school events, athletics, particularly soccer, art class, library, shopping, and healthcare. The list was extensive as the women talked of the importance of their learning to drive so they could support their children's mobility, participation, and achievement. This artist portrays the mother as resourceful, competent, and proud to help her children achieve those things so important to success within American culture. Kids won't be left out because of no rides, as one participant indicated when speaking of the importance of driving an automobile. This painting captures a practical aim of community center. It should help women learn to drive and obtain licenses to drive, but automobiles are expensive. Some participants suggested a practical capacity of the community center. The center could own the automobiles, maintain them, and insure them. The members of the center could then obtain a car to use for errands and transporting the children until the day The day came when members could afford their own cards. Okay, so these are the results, visual prototype of the social services these women described in each workshop. So from this, so we conducted this planned, very well planned multi-method and multi-stage strategy for this project. It's still going on with this larger group of OU Humanitarian Innovation Research Group. But this was the early stage of this research, our research. And this research design helped us develop a diversity-sensitive approach. Gradually, every time the research team moved on to the next stage, as knowledge of the group's detailed background accumulates. And the art-inspired framework of the community-based research had the advantage over linguistic-only format outcomes with the participants who are from different cultures and speak different language. Okay. And also design and development of desired services, a component of services for vulnerable populations by involving them in the community-based participatory research needs to sensitively reflect their kind of recovering dignity after the series of human rights abuses they experienced back in their country, but also through the transit countries. Okay. So we're at this also still at the stage 6 social incubation. We want to, because it's an action research, we want to bring some kind of products to the community, back to the community. Actually, after the second stage, when we had the first forum, I was able to find this collaborator for providing services to Mexican immigrants in that area, in the area of Vickery, Meadow. And we collaborated. We offered the data, and they started to provide the services based on our data to Myanmar refugee women. So that was our first social incubation. Actually, we were connected with this NGO through library. We found out how library is a very important space for researchers to be connected with the community. They helped us in many, many different ways. So we also have another project of this products to be returned to the community in Dallas. It's we're trying to bring some kind of financial resources for women in Dallas. It's still in the planning stage, so we cannot share this, but we're trying to do this. We also try to have some needs assessments, strength assessment in Tulsa. We found out there are a big group of Chie Myanmar refugees in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and their needs might be different from the ones in Dallas. So we're trying to conduct this needs assessment right now. Okay, thank you so much. I think this is the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Noyori-Corbett. I really appreciated your presentation. I loved seeing the artwork with it. That was really great to see that. And I do want to open it up for questions now. It looks like we had someone ask about the artwork too. They wanted to see if they could get access to websites to buy any of the artwork or clothing that you talked about.
I'm sorry, which website? I'm sorry.
And they asked, can we get access to the websites to buy any of this artwork or clothing?
No, right now, this is like a 5-year-old product. And we had 3 exhibitions, 2 in Texas. And we invited all the participants. And that was also another tool for Myanmar women to be empowered. They feel like they're so proud that they're part of this project. And their lives were introduced to American people in their community. But we do not have the website right now.
I do also have a question too that I wanted to ask. So you talked some about how the need to have a community center and have a need to have this community visible. Do you have any suggestions for how libraries could better support its efforts like these in their communities?
We are now conducting this research investigation. What are the existing services right now? And I wonder if I invited Dr. June Abbas, she's the head of the School of Library Information Service today. But within a year, we'll conclude this research, and we love to share these results with everyone when we're ready. But I've seen, as a practitioner, I've seen some citizenship services for refugees and immigrants at the libraries. But we also believe that so many refugees told me that library is a very safe and neutral space for them as a newcomer. So for those people who came through all those human rights abuses, I'm sure they have some trauma from the past. So visiting the place where they think it's very safe, it's very important. If you could, libraries can provide some spaces for refugee children, or the space for mother and children, specifically for refugees, that would be great.
We do have another one, another question. So someone asked, we have social workers section here at one of our libraries in Richland County in South Carolina. Does your organization have a model to follow if they want to set up these additional services for refugees?
Again, we are right now investigating this research with the grant from the Institute from MLS. So we would love to share the result. We really do not know how many, what could be the proportion of the public libraries in this country providing the services specifically for refugees, because the services for refugees should be different from the services for immigrants. So we are trying to find out what's going on, and we plan to have focus groups among the librarians in the United States, also among the refugees. So through the eyes of the librarians and also refugees, to find out the best services for the refugees. And I can share, if anybody wants to participate this online survey for librarians, I can share the link with Katie, and Katie can probably share that link with everyone later. We have many questions, and this is the area we really do not know much about.
Okay, yes, yeah, if you could share that link with me, and then when we can send it out to the participants afterwards, that way they have access to that. And I did drop a link into the chat for the Humanitarian Innovation Research Group too, just so people can kind of look and find out more about your organization with and the work that you're doing there. I'll give it just another minute to see if we have any other questions trickle in. Sometimes it takes a minute to type some out.
As a social worker, I realized that how library can be the center of the community to help these people.
Well, thank you everyone again for joining us today, and special thanks to you for sharing your expertise with us. We look forward to seeing everyone at next month's Health Bites with Region 3 as well. So thank you, everyone. And we did have another question come in. Which local organizations are working with this community if we want to get involved?
Sorry, is it on chat?
Yeah.
Which local organizations are working with the community if we want to get involved? I would, if you could Google refugee resettlement agencies, you can find some in your area, I think. But if you go to the Office of Refugee Resettlement, there's a government office that's been providing some money to these agencies. You should be able to find the list of agencies in your area. But the largest one, which is located in many places in the United States, is called International Rescue Committee, IRC. I think it's in they're located in many major cities.
Well, thank you, everyone. And thank you again, everyone. And I'll turn it back over to Margie to wrap everything up.
Thanks for watching. This video was produced by the network of the National Library of Medicine. Select the circular channel icon to subscribe to our channel, or select a video thumbnail to watch another video from the channel.